My name is Bianca Cotton, host of Behind the Confident Smile. And I have the pleasure of introducing you to Debra Vines today. Before we even introduce who Debra Vines is, we are going to be discussing her journey from incarceration to CEO. Welcome, Debra.
Hi. We've been having this conversation for a long time, right?
Yes.
Well, I'm glad to be able to share with your podcast.
Yes. Debra, tell the people, who are you?
How much time do we have? Well, again, I am Debra Vines, and I am first and foremost the mom of two amazing children. Jason, who's 35, and my oldest son, Mark, is 49. He's married with two children in Alabama, and I'm a widow of 5 years. I was married to an amazing man, James, who passed away in 2018. He was truly my life partner, and I'm still trying to figure out how to live life without him. However, I am super busy being the founder and CEO of the Answer Incorporated Autism Awareness and Support Agency.
A lot of amazing things happening.
Yes.
So, when we go back into your journey, what was your childhood like?
I had a great childhood. I'm the second oldest of 5 children. 2 boys, 2 girls. My oldest brother passed away actually 10 days before my husband passed away. So there's 4 of us left. Everybody's still in Alabama. They migrated from Chicago back to Alabama, but I'm the only sibling that's in Chicago. And I had a great childhood. Tomboy, I was always under my brothers, and then my sisters ended up wanting to be under me after I decided I didn't want to be a tomboy anymore. And 2-parent home. My dad was a truck driver. My mom was a stay-at-home mom until I was 13, and then she decided that she wanted to go back to college and be a teacher. So yeah, I had a great childhood.
Awesome. The big question that we ask children, what do you want to be when you grow up? So when you were, what was your response to that?
It was actually 2 things. I thought I wanted to be a nurse. And so my mom and dad used to buy me the operation game every year. I would figure out how to take the organs out. I knew all my muscles by the time I was 15. And I just knew I wanted to be a nurse. I wasn't squeamish around blood. And I also love modeling. So it was 2 things. I was either going to be a nurse, I was going to be a model, I was going to do them both. And I actually ended up doing them both. I became pretty successful in modeling. And I went to nursing school and realized that it was something that wasn't my passion. I did not have a passion for it. And I felt like that if you were going to pick a profession that was going to be directly involved in someone's life, with making them feel better, making them feel whole, that it should be something you're passionate about. And it wasn't. And so I quit nursing school and went immediately into beauty school.
Oh, wow.
So you didn't even know that, did you? You didn't know that part.
I just learned something new.
And I was a hairstylist for about maybe 15, close to 20 years. And no, about 15 years. And then I got pregnant with Jason, and everything changed.
So we're going to go right into that, Jason,
Yes.
and everything changing. Also sharing more about, what does that mean when you say everything changed?
Well, I like I said, I had 2 children. Mark was 13 years old when I became pregnant with Jason. So you have a 13-year-old, my husband and I. We were sitting at Mark's 8th grade graduation saying, oh my God, in 4 more years, he's going to be going to college. We're going to be empty nesters. We were just so excited. And little did I know I was pregnant with Jason and didn't know it. And so one day I just had a lot of pain, and I went to the hospital and they told me I was pregnant. And, with having a child 13 years apart, it can be traumatic. Especially when your life is finally starting to get your groove in your life. And, I was modeling, my hairstyling career was booming. Me and James were happy. Mark was getting ready to go to high school. Things were just great. And I got pregnant with Jason, and I ended up being on bed rest. That's when I say things changed. Because, just imagine a person, I'm Energizer Bunny. Energizer Bunny, I never really sleep. I just rest. And all of a sudden, oh no, you have to sit down and rest now. And I got really depressed. I thought I was happy about being pregnant, but I really wasn't. Because my life as I knew it changed. My oldest son was a latchkey kid. He didn't require a lot of attention. I was super healthy when I was pregnant with him. And then for my life to take just a total change, not being able to work anymore, to sit down and have to watch TV, which I don't really watch TV, and you know, just to be able to have to be this person that just sits, it became very, very depressing. And actually delivered Jason at 24 weeks because I had really bad fibroids. And delivered him at 24 weeks, and he was 2 pounds and 6 ounces. Yeah.
Wow. So what happens next? You deliver at 24 weeks. You have a preemie.
Yeah.
That you could probably hold in the palm of your hand.
Pretty much, yeah. We had to bring him home with Cabbage Patch doll clothes. And you know, we had to watch him because his lungs were underdeveloped, and physically he was not really unhealthy, but you know, as he started to grow, we saw developmental changes in him, which they said would probably happen. And of course, the depression got more and more and more, but I didn't realize I was depressed. I just thought that I was just tired and life had changed. And you know, you doing stuff different, so your mind is working different. Didn't know I was depressed until I started just feeling sad all the time. Still just going through life, doing everything I needed to do, you know, being the wife, being the mother of 2 children. Right. But my career was done. It was done. I mean, I wasn't doing anything for Debra anymore. And I became very depressed and started using drugs.
Wow. So when you started using drugs, is that what led to the incarceration?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, nobody grows up and say, I want to be a drug addict. And nobody grows up and say, ooh, I'm going to be a drug addict and then I got to do stuff to go to jail. Right. It doesn't happen like that. You start out recreationally and you say, oh, your body says, oh, this is feeling real good. You don't have to think about, you know, all the things you have to do for Jason at this moment. You don't have to think about all the stuff you have to do for everybody else except yourself. And so, yeah, it led to the incarceration because, you know, after a while you run out of money. And so you start doing things to get money, right? And yeah, it landed me in jail quite a few times. Wow. But 2004, June 24th, 2004 was my last time.
I remember you telling me, it was 13 times?
13 times. 13 times.
Across 13. How many years?
Between 1990 and 2004.
Wow. So in 2000...
Now, I'm not going to say 1990. I think it was like maybe 1995.
So in 2004, what made you say this is it?
Well, you know, it was some times in between then that, you know, you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired, but you don't really give in to being sick and tired of being sick and tired, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then one day, the last time, June 24th, 2004, I was in the cell. And I just started purging and just started praying because I was really just tired of waking up in the morning, wanting to get high, and the same thing was on your mind, you know, and then in between you living life, you're doing stuff you're supposed to be doing, but when you're an addict, it's always in the back of your mind, when am I going to get high again? And I felt in total bondage. I didn't have any thoughts of my own because it just takes over with everything that you do. And I just didn't want to live that life anymore. And you can't tell me when you ask God for something, he won't give it to you, especially when you say, I just want to live for you and your people, God. This is what I want to do. I don't want to be in bondage for this anymore. I want to live my life and serve. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Wow. Since 2004.
Since 2004. So, yeah.
So what words of wisdom would you give to a person who may be stuck, how you were stuck in that cycle?
Don't wait until you get in a cycle. When you feel yourself going down that rocky road, don't think that you can just talk yourself off the ledge. It is so much mental health help out here now. Having these kind of conversations are conversations that weren't had years ago. Yeah. You know, you look up and you're like, oh, I don't feel good. Oh, girl, just, you know, go and take you a drink. Here you go. Here's a tote. Go smoke a joint. Anything to mask your feelings. But things have to be talked about, and you have to face what's inside and what you're really going through. So my advice would be, when you start feeling your body going left instead of right, get you some help right away. Don't listen to those voices in your head that's asking you to mask with something else. Eating, overeating, stealing, drugging. It's so many distractions that you can make to not put your mind in a good place, right? So when you start seeing those signs that you eating too much, that you drinking too much, that you just not having good thoughts, go see somebody. Go, because it's free mental health help out here. And talk to your friends about it. Talk to your family about it. Don't stay stuck. Because when you get secrets, those secrets make you sick.
Yes,
And,
and they eat at you.
Yeah, and I'm not telling nobody, I don't want nobody in my business. Because oftentimes what happens is we think that, and I'm not going to say we think that because it does happen. People will take your problems that you share with them and they will use it against you or or share it with somebody else. But when you get real free, you don't care if they share it. So first get free about it. That, and you see, I'm on your podcast. I'm talking about it. And, because I don't want to be bound by nothing and I don't want anybody to bound me. I can tell my story better than anybody. So that's why I tell my story, not just for me, but like you say, to be able to help somebody. God does not allow us to go through anything without being able to share it and to share his glory, because I didn't get through this by myself. And thank you to the Women's Treatment Center. They're not open anymore, but I used to think that recovery homes and treatments were for people that were just trying to escape and make excuses for addiction. But I really learned a lot about myself in treatment. I learned about why I was masking things, even from my childhood. I had a great childhood, but it's certain things that happen, not to say that they're bad or good, it's just things that you don't release, right? I was bullied a lot when I was a kid. I always been tall and light-skinned, so, I was bullied. So the bullying, even, I would say some residuals of the bullying is still holding on to me at 65 years old. So, you have to make sure that when you're talking to your children, whatever it is that they're going through, let them purge. Sometimes one of my friends said, "Oh, my kids just talk too much. Just talk too much."
Yeah.
Let them talk.
Let them talk.
Let them talk.
Debra. Whew, you came with the fire, came quick, and I really appreciate all that you have shared.
Amen.
What's going on, Chicago? I'm Darius Caffey, and I invite you to join me this season on The Table on Air with another special guest, the co-founder and executive director of Open Television, Elijah McKinnon.
I like to make things that are sustainable and equitable and rooted in intention.
Join the conversation with us Tuesday, September 19th at 7:30 p.m. on CanTV Cable Channel 19, streaming on cantv.org, and available on the CanTV Plus app.
Debra, so let's talk a little bit more about what it means to live delivered from substance abuse.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you used the word delivered, because oftentimes in the rooms of AA, NA, support groups, they use recovery. And I'm not in recovery. I'm in deliverance, because when you deliver it, it's not that it's still a lot of crack in your armor, but it's like, to me, recovery is like a sore that you have a Band-Aid on. And if you pull that Band-Aid off, it's not even scabbed up, but you have to keep that Band-Aid off for the scalp to get hard, for the air to get to it, and things like that. And so I feel like the air is always blowing on me, and I'm always in deliverance because I am free.
Yes. So with your deliverance, what was born from this time?
Well, from the deliverance, what was born, and it's amazing how God brings you back to things that he has given you, right? So one particular time a couple of times when I was locked up, of course I talked about Jason, talked about my children, because that's what women do. We talk about our kids, right? And so it was a lot of women there that had children that had disabilities. And we found ourselves talking. I was facilitating support groups in jail and just helping people. And I saw then that I had a gift of advocacy, that even as it relates to, it was video conferencing that they had. And so I was able to commandeer video conferencing where I could see my son and the family at the Women's Treatment Center. So I helped advocate for that while I was locked up. I mean, helping think about laws.
I mean, your purpose has no walls.
It has no walls. I like that. Your purpose has no walls. And so all these ideas were just coming to me when I was in jail. And when I got out, I didn't think about helping nobody. I just wanted to serve. I didn't know in what capacity I was going to serve. And then I started working with a friend of mine who had a not-for-profit helping incarcerated women. So I figured that I would take a deep dive into that. And as I was helping her, the Holy Spirit said, how are you helping somebody else expand their dream and be successful in their dream of helping incarcerated women when I told you what to do? And I was like, what, God, what? I don't remember what you said. And then I looked at Jason, and it just came back to me. It came back to me, the support groups in jail, the advocating for the families, finding information for women in jail when they get out, what to do with their kid, as for me, myself as well. And when I got out and just started having these conversations again with myself, working with the not-for-profit for the executive of the incarcerated women, hence the Answer Incorporated.
Right. So what is the Answer Incorporated?
Well, the Answer Incorporated.
And talk a little bit more about Jason's diagnosis.
Okay. Well, so Jason was diagnosed at 18 months. We just knew that he was going to be developmentally challenged. The doctor said it. And he was doing fine until he was 18 months, and all of a sudden we started seeing characteristics of, things that were different to us, like toe walking, lining things up, screaming all the time, not talking, just so many characteristics. So I just started reading up on it and taking him to the doctor. The doctor's going, well, he was going to be developmentally challenged. He was a preemie, da-da-da-da. Then we took him to Rush, and we got the autism diagnosis. And me and my husband was like, well, what is autism? We have never heard anything about this. It was nothing talked about autism in our community. And even as I was going to therapeutic schools and things like that, you say all these cluster classrooms with Down syndrome children, autism children. I call them mud classrooms. It's because it's just all clustered and everybody's together. And so no one is actually getting the attention that they need, right? And as the years have gone by, they do have more, I guess you call it segregated classrooms. But during Jason's educational journey, not only was I trying to find stuff for him, but as I got frustrated, then the drug addiction, So as, when I got clean and not just being able to help families, I was able to dive a little deeper into my own son's care as well. Now, don't get me wrong, throughout the entire time of the addiction, I kept my red lipstick on, and I still was this mom that wanted the best for her child. And I guess a lot of people say, well, how could you do that? And you're doing drugs, right? It's the same thing. You take your kid to school, you come home and drink a can of beer.
Yeah. Okay,
it's the same thing. You eat, you overeat. Addiction is addiction. And but I had to come to that too, because I beat myself up for a lot of years. Like, oh my God, if I hadn't pissed away this part of my life, if I hadn't done this, hadn't done that. But it's just even moving forward with Jason as he is right now at 35 years old, thriving, because I just really was very serious, not just about his life, but Black and brown children in underserved communities. That is my goal. And that's the goal of the Answer Incorporated, to provide support, resources, education, recreation, advocacy, workforce development, and social skills. And everything that we have developed within the Answer Incorporated was a blueprint of things that I needed as Jason was coming up. So I didn't want any other family to have to go through the journey of frustration of not having resources for their loved one, and that's going to tilt them into addiction or something that they don't. Because when you don't have what you need, it's very depressing.
Correct.
And in underserved communities, you have a family member in a great community. Both, you're a parent, I'm a parent. You live in Wilmette, I live in inner city Chicago. When you have a cold, I have pneumonia because I'm still trying to... The resources. But I must say, since the Answer Incorporated was born, we've helped so many families, and it's still so many that are suffering in silence.
Yeah.
Suffering in silence and actually almost in the same situation that I ended up in, you know, of being depressed because it's nothing available. So that's why we work so hard.
What has been your greatest joy since you birthed the answer?
It's, you know what, it's a couple because, well, I was just named the CNN hero. And it was last December. They flew us to New York City, and Anderson Cooper and Kelly Ripa. I mean, I was standing on the stage on national TV to get this award, and I didn't make number one, but just being in the top 10 was such an honor.
Yeah.
And not just for me, but to shine a light on Black and brown communities, underserved communities, and that I was the representation for that. And then being named, being honored by Holly Robinson Pete. Just I think maybe 6 weeks ago in LA, she has this big event, and just talking to all the stars about autism and them recognizing who I was with the work that we're doing, and it's just been great. And I'm gonna tell you, outside of those two things, but the biggest joy is seeing the parents reach those hurdles from the resources that we've given them. That's my biggest joy for the last 16 years. I see the parents and they be like, oh my God, let me tell you what happened. Oh, but I met another parent and I told them about the answer. I mean, parents are actually the biggest advocates for the answer. Referrals. Look at what my son can do now. I didn't know about this information. I feel so empowered now. So to be able to hear those stories, all the work is worth it.
When you look, I feel like I'm about to go back to church. You know that song, when you look back over your life, when you look back over the past 65 years, right?
Yeah.
Would you have thought?
You know what? When I was younger, before I even began, I would say as a teenager, I always told my mother, I said, Mama, I want to be on TV. I want to be a superstar. I want to be a model. I want to go to Paris. I want to be on Vogue magazine. Da, 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 da. And then, you know, life happened, and so I had resurrected my modeling career. And it was so funny, at the same time I was doing the answer. And so I got so frustrated with the answer at one time, and I told my husband, I said, I just wanted to be a model. I didn't want to help people like this. This is too much work. Da, da, da. He said, you better go walk that runway for autism.
Why not,
and
right?
That's what he said. And then so when I was in LA, Holly's event was a fashion show. And so I got the opportunity to walk the runway for autism in front of all the stars. There's Beyonce's mom on the right. There's Tiffany Haddish on the left. Boris Kodjoe and his beautiful wife right here. And I get to the end of the runway, and there's Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Kamora. I'm like, oh my goodness, I walked the runway for autism.
You did.
Yeah. It was fun. And but when I look back over my life, I kind of spoke it into existence. Yeah. I did. You know, I said what I wanted. And so now I talk to God even more. I be like, okay, come on, God, I want this. But you got to put that work in, though. Much is given, much is required.
Oh, definitely. So as a CEO, talking to up-and-coming CEOs, what advice would you give them?
Oh, it's so much. But I'm going to say the main thing again. Make sure that it's something you're passionate about, because CEOs don't sleep. We just nap.
That's a t-shirt, but that's real.
And I actually just put it together for a t-shirt. We don't sleep, we nap. And, you know, if you're developing your own company, or if you're going to work as a CEO, any form of leadership, make sure it's something you're passionate about. And do it with your whole heart and soul. Because all the people that you're serving, especially if you're in a not-for-profit sector where you're serving children and families, and something that's going to help someone get to the next level of their life, make sure there's something you're passionate about, because the people you're serving will feel it, and you will get much more success. And take as many vacations as you can.
Are you?
I am.
Okay.
I am. I'm getting better about recreation for me. And it's so funny, Jason's been at camp for the last 13 days. I go pick him up today. And I realized that I really didn't have a social life of my own. Everything that I've been doing for the last 16 years is taking care of my husband, taking care of my son, taking care of the answer. Yes, I get some things in between. But with Jason being gone, it showed me that everything I've been doing, most of my days are focused around him or the answer. And I was just kind of throwing myself in there every once in a while. Okay, Debra, do this for yourself. But I'm getting ready to get more intentional on Debra's life. Debra's life. You know, I'm so grateful that God has blessed the Answer Incorporated, where I can hire people, train people to get us to the next level, so that yes, I can now have some time for Debra.
Definitely, and take more than a nap.
And take more than that. Take more than a nap, right? More than a nap.
You are a blessing
Amen.
to this world, and showing folks that you can be 65, fabulous, thriving,
You can,
and still evolving.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I like that word, still evolving, because a lot of my friends like, oh, I'm old now. I'm old. I have one friend that's 69. And she's like, girl, I'm old. I don't have time to do that. I don't even think about my age. I think about how I feel when I get up in the morning. God, okay, the left foot is the foot is connected to the ankle connected to the leg connected to the. I had to talk to my body, but I work out, and I try to eat as healthy as I can. I don't eat meat. I don't eat pork. I've been off meat for a very long time, and I try not to eat a whole lot of French fries.
Well, on that note, yeah, don't eat a lot of French fries, okay? But Debra, thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you for
Thank
all
you for
that
having
you
me.
shared.
Thank
today.
you for having me. And I hope that, you know, whoever's listening, don't stay in bondage. And it's so much more for you in life than you can ever imagine.
Yes.
Yep.
I like
that. I gotta leave my contact information. So if you all have any children or adults that is living with a disability, developmental disability, you can call the Answer Incorporated at 708-296-5651, or go to our website at theanswerinc.org.
Yes. Don't suffer in silence.
Don't suffer in silence.
Take care.